Welcome back, my amazing third grade artists. For this project, we'll be focusing on my personal favorite artist, Vincent Van Gogh, and he was an Impressionist painter. Who was Vincent Van Gogh? Vincent was an Impressionist painter. He loved to paint using thick brushstrokes and loved to paint what he felt that movement would look like. How can we show movement in art? We can show movement in our artwork by using different lines, shapes, and textures. If we take a look at some of these pictures below, you'll see that there are different lines that go in different directions that give us the illusion that it might be moving. And in the center with the eye, you can see the thick brush strokes with paint and using texture to make it look like it sticks out of the paper. Another way that artists used texture to show movement in their painting was a style called impasto style painting. An impasto is a technique used in painting where paint is laid out on an area or surface in very thick layers, usually thick enough that the brush or painting knife strokes are visible. So as you can see the swirls of the wind, and he uses those thick brush strokes to show movement. Sunflowers. One of Vincent van Gogh's favorite things to paint were sunflowers. He felt that sunflowers were a sign of gratitude and should always be celebrated. He painted 11 different paintings of sunflowers. Which leads us into our next project, Van Gogh-inspired Sunflowers in a Vase, Part 1. Our learning goal for this project is a painting, and a painting is where we produce an artwork by applying paint to a two-dimensional surface, such as a piece of paper or a canvas. Our learning targets are, I can use texture in my art, I can use movement in my art, and I can create artwork inspired by other artists. The materials you'll need for today are a piece of white paper, a pair of dice, or 6 little pieces of paper that you can number from 1 to 6, a pencil, and a black Sharpie. All right, boys and girls, let's get started. All right, boys and girls, now we're going to play a game called Roll a Van Gogh Sunflower. And you're going to need a die that is from 1 to 6. If you don't have one, then you can go ahead and number some pieces of paper 1 through 6. We're going to use those numbers or the die to roll and create our Van Gogh sunflower in a vase. So we're going to do 4 rolls. So the first roll in the first column, I got a 4, so I would go down to the 4 and I'd match it with my first roll, which is the vase. So now, once you roll your first roll, you're going to draw what you see for the number. Now it's time for our second roll. Roll your dice or choose another piece of paper. Number 3, match it with a 3, and that's going to be the first sunflower that we draw inside our vase. And now for our third roll. Remember, if you don't have the dice, just choose another piece of paper from 1 to 6. All right, I got a 5. So I move over from the 5, and that's the second sunflower in our vase. And now for our fourth and final roll. Got a 1, so I scroll over from a 1, and that is the last sunflower to add to my vase. Now I want you to play your game and use a pencil to draw your sunflowers in a vase. Make sure you take up all the space of your paper and trace it with a Sharpie when you're finished. Now put your project somewhere safe so we can continue working on it next week. See you next time, boys and girls.